Hey guys, welcome back. How is life going for you? Mine's going well. It's a beautiful day, about 45 degrees. I'm recording this on Friday. You won't get this until next week, and probably when you're listening to this, it's supposed to be in the 50s, close to 60s. So it's going to be hard sitting here the next couple of weeks doing our homework and work that we're supposed to be doing, but I think we have literally I don't know, with the new modified schedule, I think we have like 19 days left of school, if that. So we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. So let's hang in tight. Remember, last time we talked about the last thing you heard was chapter 24, sections 2. We did the part 1. We talked about the rise of Adolf Hitler, violating the U.S. Violating the Versailles Treaty, and the idea between the idea of appeasement, the French and the British, kind of giving in to Hitler's demands just to keep him happy, because in all reality, they did not want to get into another bloody war. That idea of appeasement really was the idea of Minister Neville Chamberlain, and here he says, a peace with honor, peace in our time. But in all reality, remember, he came back to Britain and started building his army because he knew that most likely it wasn't, excuse me, it was not going to last very long. So here's a picture. This is where Hitler invades Czechoslovakia after he's invaded Austria. And really, it's easy for him to do this because of this idea of appeasement. And that's what you kind of told me when you did your essay that is due today. So that brings us to part 2. And now Hitler wants more and more. He's going to be wanting more and more. And he goes on and he wants Danzig and the Polish corridor. So if you see here, Danzig is this area right here where I have my mouse on. And this was taken from Germany in World War I. And this allowed Poland to access the North Sea. Okay, well, Germany wanted it back. Okay? And 90% of it was of German people. But England and France refused to do this and vowed that to defend Poland if there was ever an invasion. But during this time, Poland refused to work with Germany, and the reason why Poland refused to do this was because England and France were defending it, were backing them. So they felt pretty comfortable saying, we're not going to roll over, so to speak, like Austria and Czechoslovakia did. So they put up, as much as they can, a fight. Now, during this time, the Nazis and the Soviets make a plan. A German ambassador, von Ribbentrop, I believe it's one of these guys here, and the Soviet dictator Stalin, right there, laugh as the Nazi-Soviet Non-Aggression Pact is signed on October 23rd, 1939. Hitler did not want to fight on the East and the West. He did not want to have two, on either side of his country, fighting a war. Stalin didn't want to be a part of this, and he wanted capitalist countries to attack each other. Why would he want capitalist countries to attack each other? Any idea? Yes, you're right. I could hear you thinking it. Communist. He was a communist. He's anti-capitalist. So they, Nazis and Soviets, agreed to divide Poland up between the two of them. They both were happy. Hitler and Stalin have an agreement where they're not going to fight, and they each get some land. Now, you're thinking, I thought the Russians, the USSR, was on the Allies. Weren't they allied with Britain and France and the United States of America? Yes, and that will come later. But as of right now, Hitler, Stalin, they're getting along. So that leads us to now the Blitzkrieg in Poland. Now, Blitzkrieg means lightning war, okay? Using tanks and aircrafts and they basically just bombard wherever they are attacking. Poland fell to the Germans in 1 month. After that, Germany then took over Norway, Denmark, and Belgium in only a few days. And the reason why they did this, these many in a few days, they had collaborators in those countries, essentially traitors, and they helped the Germans overtake them quite easily. We're going to watch a quick little video, about 4 minutes long, and it is embedded in this PowerPoint. While you're watching this, this is the Blitzkrieg of Poland, where they invade Poland and the Nazis do. I want you to compare, while you're watching, compare the Nazi military to the Polish military. Let's see if we can get this going. Oh, yep. That's me. Here we go. Yeah, boom.
September 1939. In the pre-dawn hours, the tenuous peace that has settled over Europe since 1919 is shattered as German forces smash across the Polish border. The attack is in response to a supposed Polish raid into Germany. That incursion, near the town of Gleiwitz, was, in fact, staged by Nazi agents in Polish army uniforms. Hitler feigns outrage and launches what is certainly the biggest counterattack in history, 53 divisions in all. Poland is a plum ripe for the picking. Forming a round salient in the west, it is trapped between two massive German pincers to its north and south. The Polish army, while imposing on paper, in reality stands no real chance against the German onslaught. The speed with which the German forces sliced through the Polish defenses is astounding. German armored panzer divisions smashed through the Polish lines on all fronts. The Luftwaffe pounds the roads and railroads, making reinforcement impossible. Close behind the tanks come armored infantry units. They exploit the massive holes the panzers have punched in the Polish lines. Once in the rear, the panzers fan out, creating havoc, disrupting communications, and striking Polish forces from all directions. The Luftwaffe pounds the roads and railroads, making reinforcement impossible. On 2 September, Hitler is jubilant. His armies are well ahead of schedule, and equally important and somewhat surprising, Britain and France have not yet honored their commitment to come to Poland's defense. This is crucial, the Germans know, because their border with France is guarded by only 10 divisions. A rapid response by France would meet essentially no resistance. On 3 September, Hitler's war turns into World War. At 9 a.m., the British issue an ultimatum giving the Germans until 11 a.m. to begin pulling out of Poland or face war with the West. Hitler ridicules the demand and orders his forces to continue their advance. Everywhere there are signs of the complete destruction of the Polish military. Smashed guns, dead men and horses, thousands of bewildered prisoners. On the 17th, the reeling Poles get a knife in the back. Russian Premier Joseph Stalin, wanting to get his share in the spoils of Poland, sends Red Army forces pouring across Poland's undefended eastern border. By the 19th, Polish resistance is unorganized and sporadic. Units who stand their ground and fight are surrounded and decimated. Those who try to withdraw and regroup face annihilation by the murderously effective Luftwaffe. Desperation turns to panic as the Poles realize there is nothing the Western powers can do to protect them from the bloodthirsty dictators. By 27 September, Warsaw is forced to surrender. A Polish government in exile is formed in Paris. Western leaders, who declined to stop Hitler when he was weak, now must face the reality of Nazi strength. It is too late for Poland. Now they must be concerned with the day they themselves will inevitably have to face the Nazi onslaught.
Okay, very good. So yeah, what were some things that you saw as you were watching that, especially the comparison between the two militaries? Excuse me. The one thing that jumped out at me was just like, oh my gosh, is that like the truth? Was there like infantrymen, the Luftwaffe, the German Air Force, I mean, and these big panzer divisions of tanks fighting the Polish that were on horses and wagons? Did you guys see that too? Um, wow. Yeah, no. Okay, so the Polish really never did stand a chance, and no wonder it was easy to take over in a month. And then the poor guys got beat up on the other side by the Russians. So, yeah. But yeah, if you saw that, yes, I hope you guys were as blown away as me as Panzers, these German tanks fighting against horse and carriage. So yeah, no wonder they were hoping. And yeah, no, where was Great Britain and France? They said that they were going to back them, but I guess not. So yeah, and then you see at the end where Prime Minister Chamberlain from the Great Britain says, "Hey, you get out of Poland, or else you will face a war with the West." Well, Hitler laughs at him essentially, and the rest is history. And we're going to war. What next we're going to talk about is the western front of Germany, and right to the west is France. And France is kind of playing a defensive game right now. And what the Germans kind of mockingly call this is the Sitzkrieg. Okay, well, the Blitzkrieg is where the Germans come in and attack and just like you put everything at them and just a lot of times annihilate the enemy. Well, the French are sitting in this line of fortification called the Maginot Line, and they're sitting there, and this is why the Germans call it the Sitzkrieg, because they're just sitting there. This line, this Maginot Line, is a line of forts that was built after World War I to defend France against the Germans. Okay, and then we're gonna go here in a little bit, and I'll show you what the Maginot Line, where it is in France in relation to Germany. But they sit there for months, and guess what? Germany does not attack. Just think, what if France attacked Germany when they were busy with Poland? Do you think that would have split some armies up? Do you think that might have kind of rattled Hitler? Maybe this war would not have gone so far. Maybe the U.S. wouldn't have had to have joined. There's a lot of what ifs. A lot of feed for what if or alternate history. You guys know me, I love my alternate history. All right, here we go. Oh yeah. So the Germans invade France after they get rid of they got Poland, they got the Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, Belgium. They got them. Okay, not Belgium. Sorry, they don't got Belgium yet. So here, let's look on this. The Germany invade France through Belgium. Well, here we got right here, these little dotted lines is the Maginot Line. This is the fortification that is built by the French. Now let's quick jump back here. I want you to see. This fortification looked like this. Look at this would all is what you would see popping out of the ground. But down here there was an immense network of tunnels and offices and barracks and all this stuff. And it was highly impenetrable. If the Germans would have decided to come through this line, they would not have made it. And guess what? The Germans were not dumb. They realized that, hey, we can't go through there. So, what should we do? Well, let's invade Belgium, take Belgium, and then come in here, because guess what? That Maginot Line was nowhere along the Belgian-French border. So it literally doesn't take long. Belgium invade, and then they cross into France, and it literally is just a march southward. March southward. They get France, Paris. There is a they fight there. I mean, there's a fight, for a while, but eventually Hitler gets to France or Paris. And it is a Nazi France. So a miracle at Dunkirk. So while they were doing this, the Germans cut off an army of French, British, and Belgian soldiers. as it invades France. But they do not kill the soldiers. We're gonna jump ahead one bit, but here is Dunkirk right here. So as the French or as the Germans are coming this way and this way after they've captured France, they're going to basically trap a group of French and British soldiers in the town of Dunkirk. Now there is a movie made of this called Dunkirk. I have not seen it yet, but I sure would like to. But this idea is these soldiers were British soldiers, Belgian soldiers, French soldiers. They were trapped along the coast. They could not get out. They were trapped up against the channel. So this idea is the English did this immense evacuation of and saved these soldiers. They used ships, fishing boats, rowboats. They all went across the English Channel to Dunkirk and saved about 338,000 soldiers. Isn't that crazy? Civilians, people, come over and save these guys. It's an amazing, wonderful story, miracle that 338,000 soldiers live. Tragic part about it is they leave everything behind. I mean, equipment, troops, ammo, tanks, ammo, I mean, everything. So, I mean, we got our soldiers, they got their soldiers back, but they did lose quite a lot during that time. So, and then the Allied evacuation here, this is kind of what it looks like, the Allied invasion. So, why didn't Hitler finish the attack? Good question. He did not want to risk his tanks. He did not have a lot of backup of soldiers at that point. And he didn't want to risk his tanks without those backup of soldiers. And aircraft wasn't going to take care of it completely. So he didn't, and he also didn't want to embarrass the Great Britain, so they would not, they might not get mad or be more willing to surrender. I mean, he didn't want to tick them off to the point where they were bloodthirsty, red-eyed mad that they were going in and they were going to conquer. He was trying to balance that idea of, okay, here, guess what? We can beat you, show what we can beat you, but we're not going to beat you completely, where you kind of get this idea of like, okay, you know what, maybe we shouldn't do this on the Britain side. But it doesn't work, and Great Britain still is in the war. Ultimately, the French surrender happens. Hitler uses the same rail car from World War I, where the Germans the Germans signed their surrender in that same rail car. Well, Hitler uses that same rail car to make French sign the surrender. So he was getting back at them a little bit. Remember, there's an immense hatred between the Germans and the French. They've been going to war for many years. It goes all the way back to the 1850s, or the Franco-Prussian War. So they are they do not like each other. This next one is a picture of Hitler in Paris. This is now, essentially, Paris, France, is under Nazi rule. You can see Nazi flags during this time, all of that stuff. Hitler is in charge of France. All right. Excellent job, guys. You did a great job of sitting down and listening to me. Hey, real quick. What do you call a boomerang that won't come back? A stick. Get it? You throw a stick, it just falls, doesn't go there. Boomerangs come back. I know you're all laughing. Oh, yes. I love my jokes. All right, guys. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Remember, there will be a question, my comprehension questions underneath this. Just click on the blue link, answer your 3 questions, and life is good. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.